There's no more gear that gives us like plus bonuses anymore.
There's less of it. There's still technically some stuff, but
Yeah, it's a deflection bonus. That's handled by the automatic bonus progression.
okay. All right. So that ring of protection needs to get re-rolled. 1 second.
So, as a question, if there's chainmail +2, would that be +4 because of automatic progression bonus?
No.
Like it would be +2/+2.
Also, there's Pearl of Power. Is that a thing?
Pearls of Power aren't those Dreamstones? I thought.
Right,
are they similar or something like that?
Well, Pearl of Power is sort of.
Can't remember.
Pearl
It
of Power
resets
is an
every
extra,
day.
Yeah, is like an extra spell slot essentially.
Oh, it resets every day? Oh, wow. Oh, shit, you're right. Yeah, those exist. I forgot about those.
What kind of base gold do we get?
So you guys got 1,500 GP. No, sorry, 15,000 GP for all of you. So 3,000 each. And change.
Okay.
I think it was like 3,250.
That Stone Familiar can't work either.
3,250 is what each of you ended up getting. That was from the Way Watchers, and then you got the Horn of Triton.
Wait, from the Way Watchers from like the previous adventure? Or...
Yeah. This is all stuff that you had between shoppings, essentially.
So are we adding that 3,000 now or no?
No.
Yeah.
We should have already added it.
Well, you should have already added it, but
yeah, because like
No,
two games ago.
Again,
I did mention it. I did mention it a couple of games ago.
Okay, so I'm not. I just want to know if I need to add that to my total now or not. And it sounds like no.
No, I mean we all talked about it. Like
okay,
we
so
did
I'm
it.
going
I
to
remember
assume
doing
that we did it. So
How many sessions ago did I buy my cloak thing?
That Stone Familiar can't exist if it's randomly generated.
What?
Why?
Oh wait, never mind. Only if it. There's like a last line, but never mind. If it doesn't have any spells,
high?
then it's okay. No, like if you look at Stone Familiar on D20 PZD, like it says, Stone Familiar is never found as randomly generated treasure with spells already stored in it. But then on the other side,
yeah.
like,
So this isn't treasure. These are items in shops.
oh, okay.
Seemingly normal crew.
Anyway, let me re-roll that ring real quick. So where's my D191 slotless?
Yeah. Also, they could just come without spells too.
Also, the chainmail, the long sword, and the padded armor all need affixes instead of pluses.
Okay.
Ooh, an Ironstone.
Yeah.
Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Where the fuck is it?
Whatever. So we'll look at the Horn of the Tritons. Is that useful, or do we want to?
I mean, I don't have any need to hang on to it.
Yeah, like.
All right, this is the ring. Let you guys re-roll. All right, what's next?
Just action.
That heavy steel shield needs
So
something.
Still the same. No, it's new price now. That's not
the
bad.
Rhino hide. It's a +2 hide armor.
Okay, I can re-roll that. Do 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 boo.
What are horseshoes of crushing blows?
Hey, when we did the
I want those. I want to put them on my feet.
Hey, buddy.
What up?
At level 8 or whatever, we got like a stat increase, and it's like 2+1s. It has to be a physical and a mental, right? Like 1/1, or does it not have to be? I forget.
God, I can't remember.
I don't think you made it that way, but
I don't think I made it that way.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it was just a +1 to 2 different stats. Man, that's a good idea though. One mental, one physical. Fuck.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah, well, whatever.
I'm pretty
Anyway,
smart.
that is on the
I don't
shield
know
is
if I did it, or I
clangorous.
don't know how to figure it out.
Yeah, shut up, Rachel. Alright, what's next?
It's automatic.
Chainmail. +2 chainmail. That is some jousting chainmail. else? This Pearl of Power.
Pearl of Power is just a Pearl of Power. Longsword needs one.
Well, Pearl of Power should probably fall off in price, right? Because it becomes disposable as a.
No, it's just a Pearl of Power.
No. Pearls of Power. So Dreamstones and Pearls of Power both exist. A Dreamstone is essentially a shittier version of a Pearl of Power.
Okay. I thought you got rid of Pearls of Power.
That is a very obvious pickup for me. The thing is, it's second level. Does that mean so? I don't fully understand what this
It seems
is
like
saying.
useful to a lower level character if it's only a second level spell.
Yeah, like maybe.
Yeah, do you find yourself running out of second level spell slots?
If it's your
Yeah,
moderate
probably
wounds
not.
monkey.
You're right.
I mean, you
It
can
might
also
be more
theoretically
useful to
share it.
me so I can heal people more with my heal spells.
Oh yeah, that's fair. I'm sure
Yeah.
you can like derive magical essence to make extracts or some bullshit.
Yeah, I figured the flavor would be like I drop it in the extract and swirl it around, and it doesn't get dissolved, but it.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
So, yeah,
40.
You might want to see that. So did you re-roll the Ring of Ferocious action?
That is a flaming burst longsword. Boop.
Flaming.
Hot Cheetos.
What else? Padded armor +2, and then I'll have to re-roll that
I
rhino
just
hide.
drank a cup of coffee or chugged it more precisely. We should get that D&D going.
Yeah, I mean this is part of D&D, Jimmy. Christ.
Yeah, no,
Gowd.
you jerking yourself off, buddy. It's not
I
part
do.
of
I
D&D.
do. This is expeditious padded armor.
That sounds cool.
And then what was the last one I said?
It was the rhino hide.
Oh, the rhino hide. Right.
Yeah, it's a +2 hide armor.
Alright. Greater medium magic armor. 18. Holy shit, wow. +3 armor.
I should get special pants.
Let's call it hide armor because of its rhino
said special
hide, and
pants.
it is ghost touch. Wait, what? Ghost touch armor? Can you have ghost touch armor?
And
Yeah.
because we've had it in other games.
Ghost touch armor just means it works against ethereal attacks.
Huh.
Like normally, ghostly weapons go through armor. Ghost touch
Uh-huh.
weapons block it. Like
Fair
count
enough.
against on the AC.
Okay, well that's ghost touch padded armor, or not padded armor, ghost touch hide armor. So yeah. You know what? I'm also going to re-roll this Horseshoes of Crushing Blows because why not?
But we don't have a witch around.
What would having a witch do?
The Stone Familiar.
Oh.
Whenever you give a tiny animal scrap from Dark Rose Stone, is hardness 8 and 20 hit points. A witch can use the Stone Familiar to store up to 500 levels of spells.
Holy shit.
That's a lot of spells.
Cantrips count as half level for this person. A witch can see Stone Familiar.
What?
By any stealth subordinate, vice versa. A witch who identifies a Stone Familiar usually knows what spells to inside it. Stone Familiar is never found as randomly generated treasure with spells already stored in it.
I also feel like 500 is not as many as we think it is because there's a lot of downtime and you just dump all your spells into it at the end of the day, or right before you get more spells.
Still though. Damn.
But we have no witches, so you know.
I mean, it's not actually that. It's
100 level 5 spells.
yeah, but you can't cast them out of it.
2 out of it.
Teach your familiar it and give it to another witch so they learn spells.
Oh.
Are witches full spellcasters?
I think so.
They're arcane, but they're the only arcane spellcaster that has access to cure spells.
That is not true. There's also the white mage and the alchemist.
What's the white mage?
Sounds like you're
White
trying too
Mage
hard.
is an Arcanist
These are archetypes.
archetype.
Also, the archetype that makes you a false priest of Razadum.
Are you just being a know-it-all?
So can we? So
I
are we
mean, he's
agreed we're
being.
gonna sell the Horn of the Tritons?
Yeah, I'm down to sell it.
I mean, like, cool. Maybe we run into a water elemental, but like, so that's another 7,500 GP divided by 5, right?
I feel like if we do end up keeping it, it's just gonna be like going from Seven Samurai like arc into like Aquaman arc, and then going into like what is like probably the BVS arc, and then like
I do have no Aquaman arc.
and then
plans,
we move on to the
unfortunately.
final like book, which is turned into
What's
the
wrong with you?
Factorio arc, because it's like the newest thing that Buddy likes.
Ooh, Factorio, so good.
So does anyone want?
Where the fuck is the magic? Oh god, this is
So
killing
wait,
me.
first of all, we're selling this thing.
Oh, wait,
someone
I'm
at
a retard.
2,500, right? Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
each.
Not each.
Oh, none
How
of you will
many
be able
people
to
are
afford this. You guys also random into a Ring of Wizardry 4. As
no.
the
That's
it's
weird.
100,000 GP.
Nope.
Okay.
Wait, what?
What?
The wearer's arcane spells per day are doubled for one specific spell level. A Ring of Wizardry 1 doubles first level spells. Ring of Wizardry 4 doubles fourth level spells.
Guys, we should get that. Let's
Do you
I
have
can't see who that'd
100,000?
be
Do you have
helpful
100,000
for.
gold between all of you?
probably
No.
not. But
No.
You get another
Buddy, we're gonna
7,500 from the Horn of the Triton.
But that's still not enough.
I don't think all the gold we've gotten over this campaign equals 100,000.
That's not true.
No,
you
it
guys
definitely
have gotten
does. It
you guys have
definitely
gotten
does.
just about 100,000 because your wealth by level now should be 46, and then half that is 20
Yeah, I was
and
gonna say,
change.
I bought, like,
So
a
it's
cloak
just
of Dramatic
it's just
Pencil
a
last
hair
time.
over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we sell everything. So we have nothing.
That's true. You
we buy
guys have
nothing.
sold a lot of items though, and selling items dumps essentially dumps wealth by level. But you've also gotten bonus items that were like hidden and shit. So that also gives you bonus items.
So
Or that also
I
gives
have
you
Are you
bonus
sticking to
2,500
wealth by
for my
level?
gold.
I thought you had like charts for like how much like
So-
you're worth.
So what I do is I'm not sticking by wealth by level, but I use it to generate treasure, right? So essentially, I knew that you guys were doing these two things, and I didn't do it for the first one because I was lazy, and then I used the Horn of the Triton because it's an item that I saw, and you guys earned about 15. So the difference in wealth by level is 1,300 divided by 2, 6,500, 6,500, in order to accommodate for automatic progression. There's 5 of you, right? So about 30,000. Half of that is the 15k that you got out of the Wanderers. The other half of that is the Horn of the Triton from the Aquatic Elves.
everyone add 2,500 GP if you haven't already.
500?
25.
Wait, 1,500?
2,500?
20.
Is it-
7,250 divided by
2,500.
What?
that.
2,500.
The Horn of the Tritons is worth 15,000 GP.
Divided by 2.
Divided by 2.
7 is
Oh, you're dumb.
7,500.
Divided by
Divided by
5.
5 is 1,500,
Oh,
right?
I'm really bad at math. Whatever.
How much are we getting?
This is what I get for cooking it.
1,500. So
But anyway, and then Mango is I will also generate bonus. I will also this is mostly for the dungeons at the end, but like the dungeons at the end have about 1.5 of your wealth by level, but that 0.5 is kind of like locked behind things in perception checks. I think you guys cleared everything in the first dungeon, but you missed a little bit in the second dungeon, and there's some in the second dungeon that you've technically like. You know it's there because you discovered that vault. Do you guys remember the vault that's in the place
Oh, yeah.
or whatever? Yeah. It's like currently being renovated right now, though you have to send them the money in order to do it. Because the idea is when you get back, you get that's your new base sort of thing. But like when you unlock that vault, you're gonna get a whole bunch of shit. And that shit is that shit is bonus outside of the wealth by level because you could have missed it.
Ah.
My essential calculus is that because you'll be selling items and dumping value from like you're selling an item at half, so you dump half of its value. That stuff gets made up by the bonus gold that you generate from like optional items, essentially.
All right. Is it alright if I take this feat? Call truce.
Ooh. Ba-ba-ba. Do you have persuasive?
From ranking up as a Silver Raven.
Holy shit! Fair enough.
Wait, we have persuasive as a feat?
Well, you picked one of
You
several bonus
chose it.
feats. I picked persuasive because
What was the stealthy one?
Can't be
I remember
wielding
I
a
chose
weapon.
that.
Holy shit, this is great. You know what's funny? Wow, this is actually very funny. The original version of your bonus feat had essentially this effect. It was statted out differently, but that was your your bonus feat line was about that stuff, and then I rewrote it because I thought it was dumb. But yeah, you can take this.
I think this feat idea is dumb, but you can take it anyway.
No. So I thought it was bad for the bonus. It's very flavorful and it makes a lot of sense for Beauregard. But then I was sitting there and I was thinking about it. I was like, man, like he's gonna be fighting fucking like magical creatures all the time. You know what I mean? Like, and they're not gonna have intelligence. Or they're not gonna be able to be convinced. I didn't have a whole thing on intelligence scores, but. And so I was like, I should make these bonus feats about doing something that he can always use, essentially.
Fair enough. All right. But yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Can I take Razor Tusk?
Oh, is that what you linked? Is that a feat?
That's a feat for orcs, half orcs. I can just take that.
Yeah,
Apparently.
probably. I mean,
Okay.
I read it when you put it out.
Yeah. I'm just looking over my other stuff. I just wanted, since it will now interact, I just wanted to know.
Yeah, that stuff is actually very valuable for you, because you can't make those full attacks and you can only make natural attacks with the claws or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Finding ways to give yourself natural attacks is a very useful thing.
You guys?
I also have not. What?
Also, do you do fuck, what's it called? What's the shit? Negative energy. Do you do negative energy damage on your attacks now?
Yeah, actually, I think all of my damage is supposed to be considered magic damage.
Okay.
Or at
yeah,
least my
that's fine.
claw attacks are. I'll make sure to write that down.
Can you take rage powers?
Yes, I can take things that modify
do you
rage
still have
pools
these?
and what you want. Like I actually have a feat that's called Gore Fiend, so that I can regain
Fair enough.
one rager
Do you
rounds.
think you have an ability called Gore Fiend?
Yes.
Hey, wow,
Hey.
references.
On that, you can take Fiend Totem Lesser, which gives you a gore attack.
Oh, holy shit!
Ooh.
What is
Ooh.
it? Does it give you
Wait,
horns?
wait,
It gives you horns.
Oh, that's baller though.
Wait, what is that called again?
Fiend
I
Totem
need to-
Lesser.
Yeah, you'd get these gnarly ass fucking shadow dragon horns.
Ooh.
And then you can also get more out of that too. Like there's Fiend Totem and Fiend Totem Greater, I guess.
Okay. And that's a feat? That's just a
Those
rage
are
power
rage
feat?
powers.
Oh, well, no. I mean, I can take feats that affect rage powers.
Can
but
you
I don't
take
think
extra
I can
rage
take
power?
No. I can just take feats that would affect normal barbarian rage powers, but they would affect my blood raging instead.
How does it work if you can you opt into an archetype for a couple of levels? Because there's that archetype that gives you rage powers.
Oh, there is? Okay, let's find out.
It's called Primalist, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of broken to be honest.
Yeah. It lets you trade out your some of your bloodline powers for rage powers.
But yeah, I don't know what it's like if you level up and you opt into an archetype for a level. Is that possible or?
I mean, The only thing is, like, the
I would assume
Primeless thing
not,
is at 4th level. It's at the 4th level of Primalist. I can choose Rage powers. So I'd have to do that for several levels. So I don't know if it's worth it.
But you can. It's optional. You don't have to trade it out, I believe.
Yeah, but wait, you really can't take... I feel like you must be able to take extra rage power.
Technically, it requires the Rage Power class feature. I mean, technically, if he takes the Primalist archetype but never uses it, he has the Rage Power class feature without ever...
What does the level 9 of Primal...
Oh, wait.
So actually, okay, here's the legit thing. Okay.
Oh, wait. I found the Blood Rager Primalist thing. Because it is an archetype.
Does it do anything at level 9?
The Primalist archetype, apparently not.
Okay, so if you take one level of Primalist one level of the Primalist, you don't get anything from it except for qualify for the feat, right? You don't gain anything, don't lose anything, theoretically. I'm probably misunderstanding how archetypes work, but if that's the case,
I mean,
that's
so theoretically, he could have. So this is how, if we wanted to game the system, of course, this is up to Buddy's discretion. But theoretically, he could have always had the Primalist archetype. He just never chose to use it.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I think technically he has the Rage Power class feature.
Oh, holy shit! You're right.
Yeah, the
okay, that makes
archetype
sense.
doesn't replace. Oh,
I mean,
it's a choice. You're right.
you could also just say you can take extra Rage Power. That's
yeah,
okay.
I know, but I like this legal.
Well, yeah, no,
this rules lawyering into it. That's much better as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I guess there's no drawback to being a Primalist. Like, nothing else changes, right? I mean, according to this table...
This is why it's broken. This is why it's broken. And, like, if you read what, like, power gamers say about Blood Ragers, they're like, take the archetype because... Why not?
Yeah,
because why not? I mean, I guess I might as well.
Essentially, you get nearly the same amount of rage powers, and like you spell casting on top. So you're just like a barbarian with spell casting.
Yeah,
like almost a full barbarian with the spell casting. It's not. There's some other little things, but it's pretty powerful.
It'll also allow you like theoretically you can trade out like shitty bloodline powers that you don't want.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
I did that in Atticus did that in Iron Gods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the level 9, like the Arcane's neat for being an anti-caster, but like one of the levels is not so. It's just kind of like whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, does anybody want to get anything else at the shop? This is a large town, so anything under the cost of I think $2,000 gold. Is available with that 75% chance roll.
Oh boy, I'm gonna get myself some Afridi cord.
Otherwise, all right, I forgot.
I thought that it was. I thought 2,000 sounds lower than I think, but I don't know.
In Kintargo, it's 4,000.
And we're not in Kintargo.
Oh wait, yeah, but you know what? I might actually be misquoting. So let me just settlement rules, Pathfinder. Because I could be misremembering the number offhand. Large town, base limit. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it's 2,000. It's 2,000 GP. Kintargo, which is a large city, but right now because it's under Barzilai Rune, that number gets cut in half. Is at 4,000.
Town at again? Sorry.
What? Sorry.
What was the town at again?
The large town is 2,000 GP. So anything under that is purchasable. Oh, also, I should actually pay attention. Beauregard, do you want to roll? Do you want me to roll?
For what?
For a Freedy cord?
Oh, it's got the 50% not their chance?
It's 20. It's 75% for each instance of it that you buy, which I guess is probably what Didn't we say it wasn't it 6 feet or something?
It was 18 inches, which was.
Yeah, it's 18 inches. So I need in order to burn out a whole square, if I'm making a square out of it, I'd need A whole square is probably too much. Like you just need to be able to wiggle yourself through. Yeah.
You know what Buddy
Yeah, well,
needs
that's
to
what we
do
just
for
did.
Mango? Clockwork.
Oh shit! I actually wrote out a bunch of stuff for it, but I never finished it.
One day. Because I have the tricks required for my animal companions to drop bombs on people. So
Oh my
you're
god.
really holding this up, buddy.
I will. So how much gold do I have? I'm gonna spend. I'm gonna get 10 lengths of it, just to be round numbers, because that's 500. That's 500. What's it called?
GP.
Gold. Yeah, 500 gold with a quarter.
Okay, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll availability, and when I hit over 75, well, I guess you won't see these rolls. But when I hit over 75, that's like that's the max in the town.
Right.
So, first one was 74. All right, you get 1, 2, 3, 4 lengths of rope. On the fifth one, there's
All
none
right.
left.
That makes sense to me.
Anyway, is there any other housekeeping stuff before we want to talk to Elector Fortnax?
Charles is retrieving Judy, I think. Oh, there he
I
is.
am in fact back.
Okay.
I'm like halfway leveled up, but that's fine.
Are we good to go? You're meeting Elector Fortnax. He's come from Kintar. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to like? Is there, just to retcon this a tiny bit? Is there anything else that you wanted to do, or anyone you wanted to talk to? Anyone else that could like come meet you in Fallcrest from Kintargo, sort of thing?
Not that I could think of.
Okay. So,
Hold on, 1 sec. Do I already have a headband of?
headbands of intellect aren't in the game.
What are you trying to figure out if you have?
Headbands of
A headband of what? Sorry, that did a list. A headband of stats don't exist in this setting. Because we have inherent bonuses.
Okay.
Okay. So the Elector Fortnax has, just sent you like a message spell sort of thing, saying, "Hey, thanks for getting in touch with me. I've chosen to take up lodging with the local Mages Guild here. They have a tower on the southwest side of the town. Please come and stop by at your earliest convenience, Elector Fortnax."
I will head there.
Okay.
Do my build alone, although could I, in theory, conference in everybody?
He probably, I mean,
He'd notice,
obviously,
whatever, I'll go.
so he would notice, but like, like if you want, he's not like a member of the organization, but he's clearly like an ally. You know what I mean? It's not like he's gonna get pissy if you bring your
Whatever,
friends.
I'll go by myself. Alaric can go by himself.
Do you want to bring
Okay.
Altanis? Up to you.
Nah, I'll go on my own.
At first, I was
Sorry
sitting
to
there, I
leave
was like,
everyone-
"Who's Altanis?"
leave everyone behind.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So the Mages Guild here is, like it's very utilitarian, right? They are not garish. They don't have they're much more like kind of magical craftsmen than they are like scholars. In that sense, mostly because like there's a lot of just like low level magic that needs to happen in any individual like in any individual place, and so this guild here is a collection. So if I need to get like a freezing enchantment for my ice box, you know what I mean? Like I can go here and get that, quick and easy sort of thing. Elector Fortnax, because he is a professor at the Alabaster Academy has been awarded some very, very nice quarters to himself on kind of like the guest end of the tower. You know, like the guest end of the kind of like windingly spiral tower itself, right?
Can we get off the battlefield? Not that it really matters. Just
Oh yeah, good call.
it's just something like I'm staring at all these dead bodies, and I'm like,
Yeah, I know. Good point. So as soon as you enter, you know, he's standing looking out a window, and turns to greet you and says, Alric, it has been some time. I'm glad that you were able to get in touch with me.
yeah, it's been a while, I guess. And I look very, very sheepish, because I'm like, look. First of all, how are you? How's the city? Have you heard from Kyonin?
I have been in some good contact with Kyonin and the Shattered Hall. Unfortunately, the city is not doing much better, but I'm sure that you are well aware of the trials and tribulations that are confronting.
In the city proper, I actually don't know much. We've been out, hungering, I guess.
You for how long have you been? For how long have you been away?
What, like 2 months, give or take? Eh?
I see. Well, I have to say that your absence has been noticed. It was clear that there wasn't going to be much space for you in the city once Barzillai Thrun had your names and faces. But unfortunately, it sounds as though the rebellion that you left is not faring quite as well as I suppose you might otherwise hope. A new leader has taken to the fore. Kexty, I imagine you know him, right? He's not co-opting
The name sounds
your...
familiar.
Good. Kexty is a brash and bold leader, and it is inspiring in some instances and foolish in many more. He and the rebellion have fallen into a number of very high-profile traps that allow Barzillai to create propaganda about the essentially brutal and bloodthirsty nature of the rebels who are looking to sow chaos. He started going out into the city more, speaking with the people. He holds these rallies with some of the other members of his cabinet, and they swell his ranks. The Chelish Citizens Group, the Dotari, and even a few Hell Knight initiates have all been pulled from Barzillai's ability to speak in the city at large.
So, what is the position of the Shattered Hall right now? Obviously, I've been out of the loop, but trying to understand.
I have met with a few very low-level officials in Barzillai Thrun's government. He and I are more than happy to be apathetic towards one another. I am biding my time, as I'm sure you might expect, because though Kintargo and Ravenel hold great interest for Kyonin and for the Shattered Hall especially, we are not prepared to get involved in this dispute one way or another.
Well, unfortunately, involvement might be thrust upon you. It's more of just like a friendly warning that out in the countryside, there's been quite a lot of action, and I would say a fair bit of positive movement, if perhaps not as much within the city, in an anti-Barzillai direction.
Well, that's good to hear. It makes sense that if you had been making that you'd be making gains in the countryside while he's making gains in the city itself.
So I have to ask you, and I just want to be clear.
No, let me be clear.
Make this.
I don't have
What do I do?
a lot of.
Do I just put it in the microwave?
Yeah, totally. Put it in the microwave.
Sorry, I'm talking to Rachel.
Really?
What's a microwave?
Shut up.
This is a weird box.
I don't have a lot of.
Whatever. That's fine. I'll do it later. I'm
Like,
sorry.
That's fine. I'm honestly trying to sort of gather my thoughts. You know the situation that sort of what you know everything that transpired up until me leaving,
Mhm.
And I still cannot say I have a lot of love for this place or the people within it, but I'm the cause that I'm fighting for again is more of putting you on notice essentially that I intend to see it through to the end, to honestly to whatever end, because I'm going to make a play for Kintargo, and I'm hoping to make that as an ally. I'm hoping that when all is said and done, this can be something very positive and beneficial for the Shattered Hall and for Kyonin itself. And if that's something that you're interested in pursuing, or if that's something that the organization is interested in pursuing, I'd love to get some. I'd love to loop you in on it essentially, but sort of one way or another, it's going to happen, and I think that you should be ready for when that time comes.
Well, not for nothing. I have been doing my very best to make sure that we maintain our stance of neutrality, just because it is easy to get cold feet when you are 1,000 miles away and hearing about all of the chaos. The devil you know is much better than a former member of the Order who has joined a revolutionary group. But as I said before, Kyonin and the Shattered Hall have specific designs upon Kintargo. We would like to make changes. That's a poor word for it. We would like to work closely with whoever inherits Kintargo at the end of this. We do not want to end up in a position where we back one horse and then the other speeds across the finish line and we are out.
Not asking you to do that now, but the time is coming, and I will not. I think that if you have known me at all, you will know that I do not have any real compunction when it comes time to act.
Okay.
And I hope that you're when the time comes, you'll do what you can in that regard.
I don't mind. Well, okay. I don't mind.
I think it can be very I think it can be very beneficial to everyone involved. But again, I'm not. I'm merely letting you know that I think you see the city, I see the country. I have information about goings on outside the city that you may or may not be aware of. I honestly don't know about the I don't know what Barzilai's propaganda situation is.
I'm afraid I don't pay as much attention to what's happening outside of the city walls, but I will say that I am prepared to at least negotiate, if not make any firm deals necessarily at this time. And also, I would also like to say that any kind of support would have to be clandestine in this instance. I'm not looking to send, I'm not looking to send mages from the Shattered Hall or troops from Kyonin to the front lines, but it is entirely possible that an influx of gold, goods, supplies could be made available for the rebellion as long as things are kept relatively quiet.
I think that having access to some of your magical contacts, as you know, I'm more of the man of action, not so much a man of crafting. I think having access to some of that would be incredibly helpful, and of course, to keep an ear out. Obviously, I am not asking for, would I even expect any sort of direct action, at least at this time, on your part. But
Well, good. It
when
sounds
you
like
see,
we understand
when
one
you see
another.
there may come a time where you see winged forms on the horizon, and I hope that you're ready.
Well, I am. I'm ready at least to talk. What is it that you want?
That I want.
Or shall I instead start with a price?
Sure, go for that. Also, well, okay, sure. Start with the price. I'm curious.
All right. These are the designs that Kyonin, and through Kyonin the Shattered Hall, have upon Ravenel and Kintargo. Kyonin is obviously a landlocked nation. We border a lake, but we do not border the coast, and therefore have very little access to the surrounding. We cannot access the inner sea. We cannot access Absalom, and so the position of Kintargo on the western coast of Aveston is something of great importance to us. Additionally, something that has come to light recently at the hands of the Shattered Hall has made Kintargo of even more interest. Therefore, the demands would be steep, but the rewards would be high. Specifically, the Kingdom of Kyonin, managed through the Shattered Hall, would gain half of all commercial, military, and industrial dock space in Kintargo's harbor. This is to be treated as Kyonish soil, protected by Kyonish soldiers, and eventually by a Kyonish navy. Until such a navy is built for Kyonin, however, the Kyonish ships coming in and out of Kintargo's harbor will be guaranteed protection by Ravenel or by Chiliax, if we were to strike up a deal with Barzillai Thrune, obviously, for 50 miles in every direction from the harbor. Preferably, these escorts would last the entirety of any of our journeys.
Something
Lastly,
that you're already negotiating with Barzillai?
we have spoken briefly. I have spoken briefly with low-level officials in his administration. I have
So
not,
I can't
however,
believe-
outlined these terms
I
to
can't
anyone
believe
in
that
Chiliax.
you would get anywhere near that from Barzillai Thrune. The man is chokehold on power.
All right. Well, I will say that there is a third price, which is a section of land in either the Temple District or the Castle District, perhaps Yolubilis or Villigreed near the Alabaster Academy would also work, that would act officially as an embassy for Kyonin, once again managed through the Shattered Hall. The space will be, unofficially, however, a marketplace where traders from all around can make deals with the Kyonish government. And because this is on, essentially, through the embassy, Kyonish sovereign soil, Kintargo and Ravenel will not be entitled to any percentage of any of the transactions that are made inside of that marketplace. These are the three demands
These are three great demands. I can sense that they come from a place of perhaps, how would you propose in any way for you to get at these goals through the Thrune government. Because as I see it, you are making like demands, and I do take a little bit of offense, despite our long friendship, that you would make such great that you would make such pompous demands of me. But then again, we are elves. We do like to be
Yeah,
pompous.
you asked me to name the price.
I
have
did not ask you to
yet,
name the price,
obviously,
but
to.
so let's be real here, though. I love my people, and I still bear a great deal of fondness for the Shattered Hall, and I fundamentally am all for a large, a healthy Keonan presence in Kintargo. Can I promise you all of this? Probably not. But
If you were to meet with your companions and you were to come to any kind of conclusion, would we be able to have these negotiations further?
we certainly could, but I have demands of my own.
Fair enough.
I will essentially be, if all goes according to my design and our design, I will essentially be single-handedly delivering a large win, not only to Keonan the nation, but through 100% the Shattered Hall. So I would need to retroactively have any banishment revoked and a seat on the Council of Electors, the name of which I've forgotten, even though I made it.
I'm prepared at this time. I'm prepared at this time to say that is absolutely on the table.
I can't guarantee you half the space in the harbor. There's some talking to be done on my end. I think that something along the lines of a marketplace is probably well within.
Well, I've given you something about.
I would need finally to be named the magistrate of the Keonish presence in Kintargo.
That's not something that that's not something that I can negotiate at this time, mostly because we don't have a good sense for what the government will look like in
Fair enough.
Not in terms of whether it will be run by the Revolution or it will be by the Ravens or it will be run by House Thrune, but the literal structure. Will it be a democracy? Will it be run by a council? Will there be some executive? All of these things, all of these details are up in the air, and it is very difficult to make.
Just to be clear, though, what you asked for. What all of the demands that were made were essentially to create a sort of a pseudo state, a pseudo administrative zone within Kintargo, that is Keonish, and I would be essentially the sole deliverer of that to you, and this is all contingent on our success, which I have a high degree of confidence in. Well, I have a medium degree of confidence in, but I have an absolute degree of confidence that you will get nowhere near as favorable terms from Barzillai, and as a result, I think that is more well within my position to say, because to be honest, who else can deliver this to the Shattered Hall, to Keonan at all, and the Shattered Hall specifically? You have met with low-level authorities. I have been out fighting for months now, and we have had some setbacks, but we've also had a lot of progress. On average, a lot more progress than setbacks.
Well, I assure you, I could make more aggressive negotiations with Barzillai. I'm a little. The reason I haven't been is because you and I have a very special relationship, and I didn't want to undermine that. By making any kind of commitments to Barzillai, but if you don't, if you want me to, I'm a little confused. Do you want me to go negotiate with Barzillai?
No, I'm just sort of pointing out that of these, I am asking for relatively little, except the seat. I am fighting for Keonan, and I am fighting for me. And if I deliver this if I deliver on even a tenth of those promises, I would like to be recognized for it.
As I said before, if this were to if this were to, shall we say, come to pass, then I have discussed it with the other electors, and we think it would be quite appropriate to reinstate you as a member of the Shattered Hall, essentially classify all of this time as undercover work, and elevate you to the role of elector, essentially serving in Kintargo and Ravenel. The one last thing two things that I want to mention. The first is that we have heard rumblings that there is a dragon in Kintargo that has been in Kintargo for some time. We understood him to be dead for many decades, but now it seems as though this dragon may yet live. If he does, and he is encountered by your rebellion, it is imperative that if he is captured or killed, that he is given to the Shattered Hall. I'm afraid I can't go into much more detail than that, but it is one of the it's one of the other things that I forgot to mention. And of course, I do want to explain a bit about why Kyonin finds Kintargo and Ravenel to be of utmost importance. Recently, a number of very highly regarded scholars within the Shattered Hall have finished work on an incredibly long-range, one of the most sophisticated systems of runes and sigils and enchantments that will serve as a teleportation hub, essentially. It will allow
building such a thingy.
It will allow the largest scale teleportation between cities, not just people, but wagons full of goods and crates and boxes. The possibilities are, at this time, theoretical, but also limitless. Unfortunately, making Kyonin the centerpiece for this kind of trade network might not be optimal. Instead, the hope was that we would bring such a benefit to Kintargo and allow the city to rival every other major trading partner on the western seaboard of Aveston, really. Magnamar, Riddleport, any of them. Hopefully, something along the something the size of Aveston. Something the size of Absalom could be created with our help and our technology. This portal hub would be housed within the embassy complex that we are also requesting. Therefore, it will be run entirely by Kionish citizens, and I want to stress that it will be secret from any who try and replicate the magics therein.
Secret.
But
the mechanism will be secret, or you can't. Okay, the wagons go in, wagons go out. You can't really fake that.
Can't explain.
No,
that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, the specifics of the it's the specifics of the spells that we want to protect and make sure that this kind of intellectual property, if you will, does not get released to any of our competitors, and anyone else could be in control of, frankly, this amazing magic.
So, ironically, this was actually something that I was going to suggest. Without obviously any knowledge of what you were you've been so hard at work on it, but creating a teleportation hub within the thing, and I look forward. If we can get all of this done, to helping and ultimately administering the Kionish efforts within Kintargo, because this sounds very exciting to me.
All right. If you're prepared to, if you want to negotiate these terms to something that we can both agree to and get going on, I'm sure your organization would love an influx of elvish-made weapons and gold and whatever else we can supply during this time of war. Feel free.
Yeah.
I'm always at your service and able to respond to any of your messages. It's my whole point of being here.
Sounds good. I will let you know.
Okay. He turns back to the window, folds his hands behind his back, sort of thing. Very content.
Oh boy. Okay. So can we quickly go over what his demands were? It was he wants 50% of the cargo space in the city.
Yeah, he essentially
he
wants half of the docks in the harbor.
Right.
Um,
And no one else heard about the. I mean, no one else heard this, but I'll definitely relay that, and that they want like a big trade hub essentially.
yeah, they're like a sizable embassy.
Right.
To serve as like this marketplace.
Like, there's no like tariffs essentially.
Yeah.
So
Essentially what he's suggesting is he's like, we're gonna make you the hub of this, super powerful teleportation network, but all of the traders coming in and out, the first marketplace they will see will be ours, and you won't have access to it, but it will also make, you know what I mean? So like,
so yeah, and to be clear, what Alaric wants out of the deal is essentially to be the guy in Keonan who runs that, because he sees that as like, well, this is something that I'm delivering to you.
Right.
Like this is and to be honest, it'll probably be mutually beneficial. But now I got to go back and talk to, and like Alaric is very patriotic Keonan, even if he's out fighting out here. It's actually interesting because now he sort of has a motivation, which may or may not have been funny. The funny thing is, I was actually going to suggest building a big teleporter. That was literally something I wanted to say.
Small scale teleportation like that is possible, but it's extremely expensive, and it can't do like any kind of large scale shipping. Essentially, what he's talking about is that they have kind of cracked the code on being able to ship large amounts of stuff through teleportation magic, rather than just a couple of people for incredibly prohibitive prices.
Can we retcon and just say that Alaric knew the heard about the beginnings of that technology when he was?
Yeah, sure. That makes plenty of that makes like plenty of sense.
That's what I was thinking once you said it. I was like, oh, this is something that I totally could have like not necessarily known like what the progress was, but be like, hearing about Project Zoidberg, and Zoidberg was like,
in my head, the Shattered Hall is a little bit of like a think tank for kind of like mad scientists. So there's a lot of things that don't come to pass that people, it's like, oh, well, let me figure out if I can rewrite this spell in order to like summon a bunch of sharks in air bubbles but made of water to attack people, right? Like, and so like stuff like that like doesn't always pan out, and so it's a little bit, it's a little bit like kind of like Silicon Valley stuff where people are like, I'm gonna make an app that can like suck your dick for you or whatever, and you're just kind of like. But this, according at least to Elector Fortnax, is very real, and they want to put it in Kintargo.
Excellent. All right. So I go back and I tell my friends, I say, all right. So I spoke to Elector Fortnax, and it's a very interesting, very honestly, like I will be honest, very elvish proposal he has, and I don't, off the top of my head, think that it's 100% reasonable, but I think we can make it work. Wants 50% of the shipping space in the harbor, which I think is crazy, and he wants essentially a tax-free zone. 50%, to be fair, is the part I think is crazy.
What harbor?
Beauregard literally throws his head back and laughs and says, "That's a good one. That's a good one, Alaric. What's the real deal?"
So, the real. I'm sort of confused. What do you mean?
Like,
He's saying
Beauregard
that
thinks
can't be
this is
right.
so absurd that this has to be a joke.
No, I think you misunderstand. The Keonan is. I basically explain the part about Keonan being landlocked, and how they want access to the sea, and now how do I do this? they have some designs of creating essentially a magical trade hub. You know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and say, um, I don't know too many of the specifics, but before I left, I heard some stuff about this thing called Project Zoidberg, which was essentially an enormous teleportation matrix. Lots of runes, lots of crazy stuff. It only turned animals inside out 50% of the time. And sounds like that might be pretty big. Pretty big deal a pretty big deal over in Kyonin. Now they don't want me to tell you this, but honestly, they're kind of they're trying to throw their weight around, and I don't think that they can get through with what they're planning for without our help. So we have like a pretty significant leverage in this. They don't have an army here. They just said they don't have a way of getting an army here, right? They'd have to cross through the one pass that we already know about. They can't get here by sea, or they go through the forest. They have to go through the Beastmen. Like, what are they gonna do? Maybe they negotiate with Barzillai Thrun, but is Barzillai Thrun really going to be like, sure, we'll let you do this? No, he's way too power hungry. So really, I'm not saying that we hold all the cards, but what we do hold is the opportunity to we hold a mutually beneficial opportunity. So sort of what I think the benefit that we can see here is we can get another stream of revenue for both sides. It would be mutually beneficial. I don't think that a complete tax shelter is something that that should even be encouraged. Like that would be crazy. But I think that generating some revenue for Kintargo in having this outpost here, and quite frankly, you get access to the best magical marketplace that money can buy, and not like anywhere in the world. I actually know if that's true, but whatever. There's opportunity for tremendous economic prosperity for Kintargo, and for Kyonin, and an increased and enhanced relationship between those two peoples who otherwise wouldn't really be able to have much of an interconnection.
Yeah, there's no opportunity if all the cargo immediately passes straight to Kyonin without any sort of interference from us.
That's not all right. Let me try and spell this out a little bit clearer. I don't think that it should go straight to Kyonin. That's ludicrous. Because, quite frankly, if we succeed, the governance of this city is going to fall to all the people in this room, right? We've already discussed this at length, and I fully intend that if we succeed, to sit on that side of the table as well.
So, I think I understand your meaning, but we need to dial back some of these demands.
No, absolutely. The demands are kind of nuts. I'm saying, basically, what Alaric's getting at is he's sort of trying to double dip here. He's like, look, I'm fighting for Kintargo and for Kyonin, because ultimately, I would like to be on the administrative ruling council of Kintargo, and also be the guy on the side of Kyonin, essentially like kind of the middleman. Right? And so I think that I don't know what the right tone to hit is with the dialing back, but I think that not allowing for 100% of all profits to immediately flow to Kyonin is a good start. I think we can definitely grant a good amount of dock space, probably not 50% of the whole city, and
I don't see why they need much dock space at all. They can pay docking fees like everyone else. Like, if they have the need for the docks, they can pay for the docks and ship their stuff out from there. If they want a private one so they can run like whatever drugs they want through there, I assume that's what you elves do.
I assume that's what half of me does.
I was I was not raised in an elven environment. um,
What do you guys think? I don't know. I've been talking a bunch.
I think that we should. I think that if they want uh, the ability to ship stuff in without having to pay any sort of docking fees, I think that is ludicrous. I think the idea of them marching things through the city into their marketplace and marching it right out of Ravenel, I think that is also ridiculous. I think that I like there is no benefit to the region of Ravenel if the money passes through, which I appreciate that you understand.
This is my whole point. Is that I think that we should tax. There should be reasonable and fair taxation, and that includes the fact that we are essentially providing them with a port, like a sea-bound port, like that they do not have. I think. I don't know what like the standard. So like in real life, the Spanish Empire, with all of their colonies, there was something called the Royal Fifth, right? A fifth of all the trade that went between the Old World and the New World was like reserved for the king. I don't know what the policy is in Kintargo.
Who owns the docks in Kintargo?
It's essentially owned by private citizens, except for some of the Chelish space.
How much of the space do the Chelish own?
You'd have to make a knowledge local check.
Oh, okay.
And what is the
yeah, fuck yourself, Mango.
That's a
about 40% of the docks is publicly owned. The rest are privately owned. The lion's share of the privately owned docks are owned by the Reynolds family.
Ooh.
So what is the how do taxes in Kintargo work?
People pay tariffs coming in and out. Chillax has pretty high tariffs, which means that most of the time trade isn't happening as much as people are paying just kind of a generic docking fee on their way up and down the coastline. There are bigger.
It's very protectionist. There's not a lot of people coming in and out.
It is exceedingly protectionist. It's a great way to describe it. Yeah.
Also, are any of the
but I do want to say there are a lot of people coming out. But let's just say, just for like some ballpark numbers, about 2/3 of ships that enter, more than that, 3/4 of ships that enter Kintargo's harbor enter it as a way station to some place else. They don't offload any cargo. Right. They don't do any trading. You know what I mean?
So really
that stuff.
We're like. This could just be part of a broader fiscal policy to start enriching the city.
Yeah. Are there any other major ports along the coast?
Yes. The biggest ones are the Varisian ones. There's kind of that trifecta. Hold on. I need to go look at the...
I meant the coast of Ravenel.
So there is Vyre, which is the city that you guys are heading to, which is on that island, right? Vyre is not a port. It doesn't have a harbor because it's essentially kind of like a beach city almost, because the water just isn't that deep.
It's also on an island.
Can you reveal the map of Kintargo a little bit more again?
Sure.
Because it's currently the part that is relevant is hidden beneath the map of Ravenel.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. I'm just gonna move the. Oh, come on. Where the? What? What the fuck? No way. Why can't I hit it? This is so weird. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna move the map down by Asiksazi. The map of Ravenel, I'm sorry. Okay. So this, there you go.
Okay. And where is the academy current, or where is the Alabaster Academy currently located?
Let me take a look.
Isn't that literally it?
No, that's the temple of
Oh.
The temple of fucking, what's that guy's name? The big Asmodeus. Kintargo. I think it's in Villigry. I think it's V. It is V4. V4. Yeah. Okay. So it's V4.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking just bouncing ideas around. Some things that we could give him that are not unreasonable would be things like right of first purchase for the docks. Essentially, he can for some portion of the docks, he has the right to reserve the docks at any time, and he has to pay for them. But I don't. I do not want to give a large amount of the shipping capabilities of Kintargo to a foreign power. I think allowing them to purchase fair dock time is
We maybe something to hold in reserve there is also like essentially protections against not like protections against like so that they like you can't be like, oh, you have right of first purchase, totally, it's going to be 1,000,000 sesterces a second.
Like you'd set reasonable prices for it, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
essentially.
Sure.
Like, I mean, like that's something that I think, maybe it's understood, maybe it's not, maybe it's even like there's a negotiated, I think, like a negotiated rate for them, just to sort of like going from I want 50% of the docks to you can like use like some portion, unless it is like a substantial portion. Uh, that's kind of that seems like harsh, and like maybe you want to sweeten the pot a little bit type deal.
Mm.
Um,
Also, what occurs to me is potentially something like granting them lease to build docks where they like somewhat.
yeah, we could say, so what about like we could say that that harbor or that spit to the north that's currently undeveloped. We could say, like, I don't know how deep that water is, but if Kyonin, with all of its vast architectural and magical knowledge, um, wants to kind of get a like basically
Like if they
have
want to
them
renovate
do,
the land into their own harbor, they can, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
yeah,
Okay.
it's subject to um subject to oh, we could maybe something like this. We can give them that land to renovate, and they can run that as their harbor, subject to um essentially entry and exit tariffs on the goods going through there. We give them like free passage through the city to their embassy, because then essentially that's all the trade that then essentially the city takes a cut of all of the trade that's going to Kyonin from the sea, and from Kyonin to the sea. Does that make sense?
No, that's an idea. I was
So
I
so
was
that's sort
also
of what I was thinking, and then they still get their tax-free zone inside, but there's going to be no domestic, like, for all intents and purposes, there's no one's going to go to the Kyonin embassy, pay whatever exorbitant fees they need to use the teleporter, just to trade and take it back to Kyonin. That's not what you do. You do the high-value goods in and out that are completely impossible, or that are difficult to get because the country is landlocked, right? So the city gets a cut up front. We obviously provide protection to the ships, because I think that, given what we have now magically learned about the taxation of Kintargo, it only makes sense, or of Chelayax, it only makes sense that the long-term strategic play is for the only viable harbor on this coastline to take advantage of the 75% of ships that are just sort of stopping by.
so
Right.
so I like your plan. I would also suggest perhaps we grant them the land to build a harbor a bit further out. You know, maybe around Cypress Point. If I remember correctly, that's the name of one of the areas on the coast.
If you look down, Cypress Point is a
Oh, you
couple of
can go all
miles
the
up
way
the
down.
coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, so I want grant them an as yet undeveloped harbor for them to develop that is further away from Kintargo, so that if they want to go through the trouble of like controlling that port, they can, but it's got some like overland cost to shipping it to Kintargo. Whereas if they want, if the the people want to shortcut that and have like the more direct approach to Kintargo, they have to use the Kintargo docks, where they pay where
I like. So I honestly just I worry about the administrative. Like, this is sort of silly to get into for a D&D game, but like if we're honest, I would worry about the ability for the government of the essentially city state of Kintargo to be able to project its sovereign authority that far for purposes of taxation.
Well, if we do it,
That's honestly, and there's knock-on effects of the closer the port is to Kintargo, the like oh, the Elvish port is there, so I will stop there, trade my Elvish goods, and then I will stop in Kintargo and trade trade my goods to the elves there and my goods to the rest of Kintargo here. Kintargo, the government gets the cut. The merchants from Kintargo can also go to, they can essentially go straight to, they don't have to go to the port, right? They just go, they walk into the marketplace directly. That makes sense? I don't know, like that's just what I think.
I'm not quite following you. What was
Okay,
the knock-on effects thing?
The knock-on effects are that having this major port, you're essentially, it's the same way that like when in the real world, when you have a like in Africa, you want to dig an oil mine, and the government says, okay, but you have to build us a 500-mile long highway between these two cities in order to do it, type deal, right? They are getting what they want, is the oil refinery, and you are getting a huge infrastructure development as like a bonus to that, right? So now you have like two modern ports right next to each other. You can have traders come into, they'll now all of a sudden it's like twice the riches, right? Like for traders, for everyone involved, we take some reasonable tax cut from their port, we take some reasonable cut from our port, our own citizens, they also enjoy the advantage. They don't have to go through the port, right? They could just walk the goods or cart the goods into the teleportation nexus and do their business. You kind of get what I'm saying? You're getting them to develop infrastructure for you.
I get what you're saying, but I'm worried about undercutting the interests in the Kintargo port, right? Like, House Reynolds is not going to be happy that we established a second port next door that might be easier to access and has like.
But they can still sell their wares with the Kionin people. Is sort of what I'm saying. Like, maybe you're right. I'm not. I honestly don't know in this fictional world what that would.
You guys can also talk to any of the other noble houses or anything like that if you want to like cart this idea. If you want to enter like real legit negotiations and talk to Elector Fortnax about what he's willing to bend on, what changes, do you guys want to make to the deal, that kind of stuff is also fine. We can also save this for later if you want to come back to it, sort of thing.
I think that we honestly just need to have a better understanding between the members of our own party of sort of what we're asking for, although I think we're kind of close to that, but we can also move on for the sake of it not just being me and Mango.
There's nothing else to do tonight. So, if you guys wanna,
hey, does anybody else have opinions?
Yeah, that's also true.
I mean, I'm kind of the opinion that if they want to invest money in a separate dock, like in an extension to the dock that is also still in Kintargo, and thereby, they include the cost of creating this dock that they get for a lessened price, like they only pay the normal like tariff situation of bringing wares through Ravenel in general, then yeah, I think the deal makes more sense. But the whole, we just get a free pass to use trade routes of this country, including this port, I'm not super sure about that.
And I think that at least between you, me, and Beauregard, none of us seem to. Correct me if I'm wrong. None of us seem to think that Kyonin should get a free pass
Yeah,
on
yeah. I
like.
guess it's just I don't know what that entails then for it comes to like what we would consider appropriate then because they still need to get something out of this deal.
Oh
Like
yeah,
that's what they want.
so
Also,
they're getting a city on the coast, and we are in a position to grant that to them, um, in a way that is unlike it feels to me unlikely that they could get like an amazing deal out of Barzillai to do this, especially if they're already so anti-trade.
what is so couple things, um, what do you know what what their plan is for like non-Keonan endeavors attempting to use the trade network?
Well, the
Like,
whole point of having a trade port on the ocean would be foreign trade.
right, but like if let's say House Geltero wants to like trade silver with Keonan, which would obviously be facilitated by this by this trade network, right? Like, is that something that's available to the citizens of Ravenel, or are they just trying to make us like a port to the world?
I would imagine, like, I mean, that's something I ultimately don't know, but just like logic dictates that there's no such thing as a bad customer. And
Yep.
similarly, like I ultimately don't know. Maybe we'd have to ask like Elector Fortnax like what their aims are, and that honestly might be something above his pay grade too, right? Like
Yeah.
he at the end of the day is like an intermediary. He's relatively high up in the Shattered Hall, but the Shattered Hall itself isn't like they aren't even the end all be all in Keonan. They're just one of the noble houses, and they're sort of mocked at that.
He is definitely empowered to make the kinds of terms of this agreement, right? This is a lot like a back channel, right? This is kind
Yeah.
of like a senator or something, right? Like being like the back channel here, and so he does have a good amount of power and ability to kind of like make and enforce things and talk about like for instance that thing about making Alaric an elector is obviously something that he talked with the people about, and they were like, "Okay, we are prepared to do this," sort of thing, right?
Right.
So
So here's my rough plan. Um, I think if we want to allow them the near port, that's fine if they agree to build it. But that has to come with the condition that they allow the existing owners of the current port to buy in at a proportional price if they wish. If House Reynolds wants to buy into this new port for some portion, they are allowed based on some sort of calculus we can do later.
So I'm just a little bit confused. When you say buy-in, you mean like just in
Let,
general?
like they're gonna build the second port, and they must let House Reynolds buy some portion of it. If House Reynolds wants to buy 20% of the docks, just to pick a round number, we can work out the calculus for it later.
Yeah.
They must allow Reynolds to buy that 20% for them to own on the second port, right? That way the private interests and the Kintargan government, if we wanted to has some control in this new port. If they want it, right? Like if the largest shipping interests want buy-in into the newest shipping project, then they should be able to take it.
you would also know, by the way, that it would be very tough for Reynolds to actually make a buy-in like that. His operation makes a lot of money, but also spends a lot of money. So he's pretty much
fully mobilized. There's a word for that. Like his
revenue
assets are always in flight.
It's like revenue neutral kind of thing, right? Like, and so he doesn't have a lot of capital on hand to just make like giant purchases.
But someone could. What I think maybe. Sorry, not to cut you off, buddy, but like
no,
what
sure,
I think
sure.
Maybe kind of solves like a little bit of this kind of again scratches everyone's back. Is an ad. So we establish I think that it's pretty clear that it won't be a free pass. At least what we don't want to offer a free pass to Keonan to do whatever they want. They could but we can offer them the right to develop the port essentially, and say like, look, the policy is that we are going to uh, lower the tariff. Maybe, I don't know. This is just a thought. We say that, okay, for your purposes, like traders, like from your merchant guild or whatever, have lower tariffs, but still like, let's just say the regular tariff is 25%, they pay 15%. I don't know the real numbers, but something kind of in that vein, right? Like they get a pretty substantial discount on top of that, plus access to a port, which they don't have, and they obviously really want.
Yeah.
So we do that, and that they also, we say they also give Ravenel traders either. I hesitate to say like people from Ravenel can trade for free with them type deal, but they also get like sort of an advantage in trading with Kionin, right? Like basically setting up a mutually beneficial like trade relationship there, because also like all the logistics costs for people in Ravenel will be a lot lower if they don't have to then also pay for shipping, because they can just go to the teleporter and say, all right, we're going to make this deal. Like the fixed cost. Does that make sense? Does everyone sort of understand
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I'm following you. So the reason I want these provisions for the current private interests in the docks in Kintargo is I don't want them to feel slighted. Two, I also think these kind of buy-in rights we can also just make them transferable, right? Like if the head of House Reynolds doesn't want this buy-in, maybe him having that buy-in is something he could potentially sell to somebody who can then buy in, or
right,
or like he can sell, like maybe we can making it transferable kind of solves a lot of these problems, because we could be like, if you want, you can negotiate with the Kionin to transfer some of your interior dock space, because I think the interior harbor is still going to be like the safer harbor. It's still going to be like maybe some of the more premium lot. That's why they built it there in the first place. Maybe Reynolds is willing to trade some of that for some of the dock space in the new port or something. But I don't want to shut them out of. I want to respect them because they helped build Kintargo.
Right, and I think that makes sense. What I'm trying to come up with sort of a structure there that makes sense, though. Is it like, we were talking about like the right of like essentially you want them to be able to buy into the development of the heart. They buy in, they invest in it, but they also then get some of the space. And I'm wondering if there's some way to like do that in sort of like a reciprocal fashion, that like by the same token, like this is sort of the swapping you were talking about, like the Kionin could like also like buy into the existing harbor type deal, and basically, but have that be a symmetrical relationship.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm also fine with offering up the part of the public part of the current port.
Yeah.
To be part of that.
Right. Or like put some cap on it. Like another thing that you worry about in both sides is one side coming in, buying up 100% of the harbor, and then just being like,
exactly,
nah, boo boo.
Yeah. The way I envision this is that like Reynolds owns, let's say, round numbers, 40% of the current ports. Maybe that's high, but 60% is owned by private interests, and the lion's share is owned by the Reynolds family. Like
the Reynolds family has about 30%.
30%,
and the rest of it is so. These are the numbers in my head.
20% was
40%
the
public.
government.
40% is public, 30% Reynolds, 10% Shadow Veil, and the rest is just kind of bits and pieces.
Right. Sure. So for that 30% and that 10% guarantees them some available buy-in, right? Not that they have to take it, but like they could buy in, like just use round numbers off the top of my head. Like they are guaranteed 15 and 5% buy-in if they want it, and those rights are transferable if they want to sell it. Like, let's say the fucking Kenton wants to get in on the shipping game. He can buy like some of the excess that the Reynolds.
Hey, we also can use this as a play. The people who are worried about, I think it was Canton, right? Is like the quarries or whatever, like.
Yeah. Oh, that is the other thing. This is the other thing.
Transition. Like, we could be like, look, like in selling this to the nobles, we can be like, this will be a huge opportunity, economic opportunity. Like, And this is a way that you could transition your empires over time to be more commercial.
This is a thing that I think is important that I also want. I want a prohibition um on trade of Kintargan products. Like we deal in a lot of silver. I don't want them to be able to import cheap silver from overseas or like teleport it in and undercut the locals. We
Oh
can
shit.
we can figure out like what
That's a
exactly
very good point.
our local economy is, but I don't want this to totally destroy local
I
production.
think so what I think the counterpoint to that is that it also opens a huge new market that wasn't like about like I think that again this is what tariffs are for essentially, and you could say like look, you get to trade with like just to use silver as an example, right? You get to trade with Kintargan merchants at very favorable rates, versus if you want to trade silver with people from Rahadun, because I don't know any other cities. Um,
Yeah, it's so it either has to be a prohibition or it has to be a very high like a protectionist tariff essentially.
yeah, I think so, but like I do think that we can't sell the story that we are going to be like dramatically slashing taxes to encourage trade, uh, and then at the same time say, but we still have very protectionist policies. Like I do think that
I think those policies for the specific things that Ravenel deals in are justified.
sure, can we? I guess like having some enumerated
Yeah.
set of those. I
Oh,
think
sure,
is
absolutely.
probably-
I don't intend to approach him with like four things that we will determine. We will figure out what the local economies are.
Yeah, I mean that's something that like is kind of a you would know if this were
yeah.
You can see the you can see what each of the noble houses specifically specializes in inside of the document under Kintargo called the Greens. In fact, I'll just show it to you. A lot of these are kind of local things, to be honest with you, like city defense, right? It's very, it's tough to, have outside products beat the Shadowvale's stonemasonry because shipping stone is such a giant pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then there's also stuff in here that like absolutely would get crushed, right? Silver is an easy one, but salt is another one, stuff like that.
How about this? We
I think that one that like Kionin will never accept would never accept just because okay, let's be honest, Elven magic way better than anyone else's. Like I don't think that we could be like no magic goods because also like what
magic goods is a little excessive, but like
For the Aulorian estate, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Those guys produce a lot of magic items for the city.
Huh. Is he a loyalist or is he loyal to Fortnax?
The Alamoxa stuff?
Or is
Yeah.
is Oxus Aulorian?
I'm sorry, Aulorian? Okay.
Is he loyal to Barzillai? Is that
or
your question?
is he loyal to
He
Barzillai or
is
Kintargo?
he was sweeping towards Barzillai, but you guys
is he
this
the one
is the
with the
guy
gay son?
this is the guy with the gay son. So you guys flipped him.
Oh.
He is not a member he's not a member of, but he now has revolutionary sympathies. The people who let me see who has Thrune sympathies. Tanison, Delrange, Victor Cora got killed. And then Sereni. Those are the three that are decidedly loyalist.
Okay.
They don't do much in the field of like international trade.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say if Aulorian is loyal to Barzillai, I don't care.
But like you know what? I think that also again like if silver's big here, like there's pluses and minuses, right? Like and also like
I think can I propose
Yeah.
I think that if we let each noble house declare something that Oh, you know what? Maybe we can flip this in the other direction. Essentially, instead of granting super high protectionist tariffs to us, we can let the local economy, like we can have like cancel all outbound tariffs on local economy things to drive down the price.
Right. That's sort of what I was saying before, I guess.
Right, but like essentially, there is.
Yeah, it's much cheaper to buy goods from Ravenel at that port. Potentially, I would probably still say that the city and thus the city, and I assume the noble houses have some stake in the city because that's kind of how it works. But like
The nobles are the backbone of this city.
yeah,
Fuck the people.
Okay.
you
Yeah.
get free roads.
No.
So do you mean free
get
catnip?
free roads?
Hey, free catnip. Who cares about roads?
I assumed you were
Or
loyal
taxes
to House
is
No,
charged.
Rose.
but like
Tax.
you get much better deal. Like anyone gets much better deals.
Oh, no, I'm
Writ
just joking. This is
large
all out of character.
on Ravenel goods, right? Like that's how protectionism works.
Right.
I mean, I'm just listening because I hit things. Usually left like all talking to the Reynolds. So
Okay, so we should write down at least what our little proposal here is. It's
I think protections on silver, like if you want to read this as Beauregard being like we need to protect silver because that's my interest, that's fine because that's probably true.
Yeah. Well, I don't know too much like you can't really offer protections on opera and public opinion.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and let's be honest, the Kionin aren't going to really as people who are in a landlocked country, they can't really do anything on fishing and shipbuilding. And that also honestly helps out the Reynolds because
Do we know where the other end of this teleporter is? Because this was actually something I was concerned about. Like, are we gonna have to worry about like a ship being pulled out of the Alabaster Academy and being put in the harbor?
I'm sorry, what?
I don't think so.
Like would it be I don't know where these things connect to, right? So like let's say they connect to like somewhere in Fantasy Africa because I can't remember the name of that area, and they've got like some like amazing shipbuilding down there with like the wood they have down there. Is this teleportation circle big enough where they might drag their
Teleport in a whole ship?
and dump it into the
They
harbor,
could
harbor.
theoretically ship of Theseus it. But no, it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be big enough.
I do think that there is some merit in considering like, hey, I don't think that the elves bear us any ill will. I think that they are sensing an opportunity, like a prime time in technology and politics to gain what I assume is a long-held desire to get like access to the sea. But I do think that at the same time, opening a teleportation hole in the middle of your city that potentially like a lot of people could come through very quickly is also something that should be concerning to Kintargo. I mean, I'm out of the game there, but I have no ill will towards Kintargo, obviously, and I would be, hopefully a if we're successful, a key member on both sides of this thing. But still, I think that there's definitely something to consider there. Like you need to be sure that there's a way that you keep a watch on it. Essentially, I don't know. It's basically it might be nothing. That's not really relevant to the negotiation. That's more just a fact.
I mean, like. So this is actually kind of important because they want to. So what do they want to keep the presence of this teleporter under wraps, or just like the specific technology?
No, they want the
there. But
the
secret of how it works.
So there's a lot of information that he has that you don't have, and you will need to essentially get that from him. But what he's essentially saying is that the teleportation hub right? The place that connects to all the other places will be in Kintargo, right? And then, and it'll probably first just be between, like you can just reason this out. It's going to be first between Kyonin and Kintargo, but very slowly, or not, maybe not very slowly. Who knows how quick this will get picked up, right? But now you get a teleporter in, right? You get one in Magnamar, you get one in Absalom, you get one in, Azir, which is where Rahadum is, right? You get all of these little teleporters, but they don't connect to one another. They only connect to Kintargo. That's what he's implying,
see.
right? So Kintargo is the single. It is the nexus of all of these other teleportation points. It's not a web. It's like
it's a hub and spoke.
yeah.
Okay. In that case,
So would
I
be an
also-
airport.
I also want in does Kyonin have any military power?
Yes.
Okay.
It's small but elite.
Are they just elite archers?
I
I
want
imagine
them to
they only
help
have
provide,
archers.
I also want them to help provide for the defense of Kintargo, right? Like it makes sense for them to do that.
Okay, sure.
See, yes, I
Well,
agree.
by the way, I'm not agreeing to anything. I
Yeah.
am affirming that I understand.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't mean that they necessarily have to like jump in with their military force and enforce the revolution right now. I'm saying that like when the day is won, they need to help
And
protect
also
Kintargo.
honestly, maybe if like a lot of what I was trying to get across to Elector Fortnax is like, look, I get it right now, like we're pretty like distant, but like there will be a day of like us riding over the horizon or whatever, and like at that moment basically, like at that point the die has been cast, and if he wants anything to happen, he sort of is going to have to declare for us then. That's sort of what I was trying to get at anyways. I don't know if that came across.
Yeah, but
Which could mean like in a final battle, like some ghost ninjas come out of nowhere.
so I'm gonna do a knowledge local. Is there anything besides silver I should be concerned about in terms of protectionism?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Let me take a look.
Where's
Salt is also a big one, just in terms of like raw production.
Dude, you just have me. I am
was
the
gonna
biggest
say-
producer of salt.
Yeah, right.
The Rahadumi salt mines.
I think I have knowledge nobility, which I'd like to roll.
Horse breeding, hunting, mercantilism. What the fuck does mercantilism even mean?
Yeah.
It's like trade.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it. Never mind.
Like,
It's
what do
talking
you want
about
from me?
talking about the economic interests of the family, and for everybody else, it's things. It is tangible goods, right? Horse breeding, right? But there's just this one family that has fucking mercantilism in there. Anyway.
Oh, it could be like the actual like middleman. Their job could be being the middleman.
Being merchants.
The two biggest raw resources that get created in Kintargo are silver, which is handled mostly by the Jaltero family, and salt, which is handled by the Aulorians. The other thing,
Wait, I thought it was
also.
Those are things
I thought
that
it
are
was
very
silver.
reasonable to protect.
Silver and salt.
I thought it was
Salt.
silver that was done by the Allurians.
No, the
Allurias?
Aulurs were also the
Aulorians do
do
both.
stone.
Aulorians do both, actually.
Not the Shadow Veils,
Oh,
which is
sorry.
Allurian
Oh.
Shadow Veil.
Alluria.
Oxus
No,
I
I'm
thought
sorry.
I know Shadowvale.
Alluria is pretty solid. Her 4 interests are architecture, carpentry, city planning, and stonemasonry, and all of that stuff is local. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
because it's all building
Also,
stuff.
if
Because
you're
she owns
building
most of the
stuff
town.
and you're an elf, you're
Or
probably
the most
going
stuff
to
in
get
the town.
contracts from the elves to help build their new port. Like, I'm just thinking of reasons why, like,
Sure. This new port will stimulate the local economy.
yeah, exactly.
But like most of the kind of manufactured goods, would be that's not something you need to worry too much about protectionism with,
Right.
in the same way that So silver is honestly the biggest problem, just because it is also a currency in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, if
so
the,
like
if the
a
answers
huge.
are silver and salt, I think that's fine.
yeah,
yeah.
I think that those are like,
Those are the two real answers.
mm-hmm.
Protector's tariff on silver and salt, and
Are any of you guys writing this down? Because we're obviously not going to get to
The real problem
any
is
kind
that,
of
like,
negotiation tonight.
I keep wanting to start, and then we keep talking, like writing it down. But
All right.
I'm just gonna
take
start
down
right
a note.
Because we could just shunt this to next week, like the actual sitting down and negotiating
Yeah.
out what you want to do. By the way, the tangible benefit is that Elector Fortinax now becomes a benefactor, and you guys unlock a 4th slot to your army.
Can it be the fucking dank ass bowman?
No, they won't contribute military troops yet.
Okay.
It is possible. I can't confirm or deny that you will have access to Kionish military units later in the game. Though also, by the way,
Okay, so-
that kind of stuff is also kind of contingent on whether or not
Like,
we
what
find.
happens.
Yeah, well, whether or not we find mass combat to be fun and interesting, right?
Alright.
If it's a slog and people don't like it, then we're not gonna, I'm not gonna force you to do it in books 4, 5, and 6.
So I'm just gonna write real quick. Fortinax wants
50% of the existing port.
50% of the existing port. Zero. He wants absolute zero cost trade, and I will write haha next to it. And,
Specifically, by the way, what he's looking for when it comes to that trade is a tax-free zone where they can establish a marketplace in their embassy.
Right,
This will
so-
also be their embassy. It will also be the nexus of the teleportation hub.
tax-free zone in the embassy.
Also, he said
So-
that you guys need to protect his
protect
protect the Kiona ships.
Yeah, I
50
think
miles each way, right?
Yeah,
you
50
know,
miles
50
in radius.
miles, so 50 miles is further than like the United States military does anything. Just as an FYI, but
Yeah. It's
protect
almost
the
like these
ships.
demands are ludicrous.
Yeah, like something to consider. Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, so 50% of these is a zero cost trade in the embassy, I guess. Embassy. Let's see, protect the ships. I'll just put the 50 miles thing down, and anything else. I'm gonna also write what Alaric wants.
They also
Do you let us
need.
know that you want in on that you're getting personal benefit out of this?
I say what I say is that like I basically say this, like I basically made it clear to them that, from my perspective, I am the person who would be delivering this deal to them. I say and that I would like to be involved in the administration as much to help. And I do say up front, like, look, I would very much, I would try to be kind of an intermediary. Because I would have interests on both sides, so it would only make sense that I would be
Sure.
aligned for
Right.
the common good of both. Like, I want Keonan to do well, and I also want Katargo to do well because I'm spending so much of my goddamn life like trying to not like in terms of time obviously, but in terms of like risk to try and save, because I could just go home now, right? In fact, part of what this meeting was about was like trying to figure out why Alaric should care, which I probably should have beforehand told Buddy like kind of why I wanted to talk to Fortinax, but this is good. Alaric's happy.
Okay.
Anyways, so like
Beauregard kind of looks at you halfway because, like side-eyed, because he's heard you talk about like the filthy humans, but he accepts this for the time being.
yeah, yeah. So I'd be working as an administrator, and I would like you guys know about my banishment from the Shattered Hall, and I say that that's like another thing that I want because fuck those guys. And yeah. And then Alaric wants electorship in Shattered Hall, and over the all right, and then so our bargaining, what we're coming back with, I think that the easy one to grant right out of the gate. Well, I don't know. I think the easiest one to get is like ship protections, right? Because if we're going to try and become sort of a mercantilist empire, protecting ships of everyone is good. So like, why would
Yeah.
we not, right? Like, we are going to um, give essentially uh,
We've also made
give Keonan the right to develop.
50 miles might be a little bit far.
Yeah, 50 mile. We'll negotiate distance.
Yeah.
But I kind of think that won't be the sticking point. Anyways, give Keonan the right to develop the northern. What should we? I'm going to call that Knights Bay because it's next to Night Row.
That works.
Knights Bay into a shining harbor. Impress upon them the desire to turn Kintargo into a trade hub. 75% of ships don't stop here.
As part of this too,
don't.
like they must establish the trading post in the current location of the Alabaster Hall.
Okay, sure.
Like if they we can't let them decide like okay and then build that teleportation circle like on Knights Bay, right?
Sure.
You guys can do like a survey or something if you want to try and figure out a good spot for it. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like down the
yeah.
line. There's definitely options when it
Must
comes to
establish
that.
teleportation. Well, honestly, I was doing a lot of this with assuming that it was going to be there just because it made sense. Teleportation circle in. I'm going to say in Alabaster Academy or other reasonable or other. Or
so the teleportation circle can't be further from the regular docks than it is from the Knights Bay docks. That is my concern.
Okay.
I don't want I don't want the existing port to be undercut.
Interesting. Well, let's. Okay.
The Alabaster Academy works without pulling out my measuring stick. That works well enough for me.
Right. Sure. And I'm. Hey, this is what our. I don't really want to try and like write a formula down here, but I'll write that down and hopefully we'll remember what that means.
Right.
We offer. There's still they don't get no free lunch. Tariffs, import and export tariffs out of both harbors, but favorable rate for Keonan, and we might honestly hold back the second part as a bargaining chip. Like at the beginning, say you get no free lunch, but you get a port on the city, and if he pushes back, we can say like, oh, okay, what if we give you a 10% discount? Like we give you 15% tariff instead of 25.
Yeah,
right?
I'm okay with that. That makes sense.
But favorable for Keonan as bargaining chip.
Don't forget about the kind of like the reserved buyout for the private interests.
Right. Yeah. So percentage of harbor development can be not like I don't like the word bought out because it's not quite it. It's like they can join in the development essentially.
Yeah.
Can be joined by local interests. This is all sort of poorly written, but I think we get the drift.
Those rights
protection for silver and salt industries. Exact nature of protection TBD. All right. I'm probably. Oh.
The only other thing is provision for defense.
Defense of Kintargo. Like I think honestly, this is more like mutual defense of Kintargo.
Right.
Because they don't want someone else coming in and fucking up their shit.
I agree. I just don't want them to think that like, oh, we can shift that responsibility onto the Kintargans entirely. I want.
I mean, hey,
I don't want to be the United States playing cop for Europe.
All right. I'm also going to write down the funny thing is like sort of silly because Buddy is sitting there, he gets to hear all of our schemes. But whatever, bargaining.
I also think you should go in there good cop, bad cop. Like I will go in there like shrill Altanis being like, "This is absurd, absolutely unacceptable," and just like ranting and raving, and you can use them.
Remember, only one of us is particularly charismatic.
I've got
Unless you have a
four
quiet
quiet
word.
words.
Um, I have a com mod of -1.
Not anymore.
The con mod's still there. You should have taken like there's a couple of traits that let you use your int for social skills.
I have some of them, but they're not super helpful. It's like it's like blistering wit or something like. It's like one of those things where it's like I can use like int to intimidate or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's time's up, I guess.
Alright.
So we'll pick this up next week, I guess.
Yeah. I hope all you listeners enjoyed Alaric and Beauregard scheming.
They
Sorry,
did so
All
much
right.
scheming.
sorry to the rest of you. Cox, what do you think Reynolds will be okay with this?
I'm kind of indifferent now because I'm not in the pay grade anymore. They
Yeah,
shunned me.
But I'm not asking you if you can.
Oh,
I'm asking you for your take on the situation.
They're going to want their land, or they're going to want their ships. That's their main trade, so they will fight hard for it.
We can deal with them down the line.
Mm.
Maybe we can offer them some nice deals as well. We'll figure that out.
They'll need to be a forever deal, a deal that lasts forever. Otherwise, Magic will make their business go away.
I mean, they can still. We'll deal with it. They can still provide their ships can still deliver goods to the magic teleportation. That is something that needs to be in there too. Like as a matter of contract, that like that's why I asked about it. That circle is open to the locals. Like I want that written down because I don't trust these shifty foreigners.
Yeah, circle is open to the locals. Got it. Because that makes sense. Well, I think really the point is more or less like trade with Keonan is like.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
I think that's in their interest too. But like, sure.
I agree, but I don't trust the shifty foreign elves.
I'll take that under advisement.
Pull something. I would. All right, is that it for everything?
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, loyal viewers.
Until next time.